Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The old work-life balance. But here's extra work you have no chance of doing in that allotted time frame, and we're not hiring extra staff because screw you. These people are so disconnected from what work people actually do that it's insane. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Manager reprimands me for working too much after constantly burying me in projects. I'm a tax preparer, and we all know about tax season. Usually we have to work 55 to 60 hours a week, which is pretty standard. But this year, the company decided to reduce it to 50 in an attempt to promote better work-life balance. Realistically speaking, there was no way this was going to work out because outside of my local office, the other offices in the company notoriously struggled to get their tax returns done on time with 55 to 60 a week. They also had increased our yearly charge hour goals, which I thought was pretty counterintuitive. Either way, I decided to say screw it and just do the 50 because I'll take the extra time, sure. That adventure died quickly because my manager just started burying me in projects. For some background on my manager, he sucked at his job, constantly contradicts himself, throws others under the bus, and hounds you about being efficient and getting his projects done, but then waits forever to get them reviewed. He also has no problem bossing people around and being condescending, but the moment someone with an ounce of authority pushes down on him, he instantly folds and bends to their will like a dog after its owner tells it to roll, even if they have no idea what they're talking about. So as I'm working on all these projects he buried me in, I soon realized that 50's not going to allow me to get all this done. It's definitely not that I was taking too long to do them. I'm confident that my track record at that company shows that I got stuff done and pushed out in a timely manner. But between the budget hours that these projects had as a whole, the 50 hours, and the line of other projects I had from other people, fat chance I was going to make it. So I decided, screw it, I'll just do 55 to 60 because I'm a team player. I did like working at that pace. I figured I'd get ahead of the company's lovely charge hour goal and brownie points couldn't hurt. Then my manager comes into play again. He asked me if I can hop on a call, and that's where it begins. He asked me about my time card, because even though my requirement is 50, I still booked the 55 to 60 because I ain't working for free. I find out that in a meeting, a partner from another office looked at my time card and started questioning it, then proceeded to start saying all kinds of things about me and accusing me of stuff. I apparently now had a nickname amongst him and that group as the 60-hour man. My manager rips me a new one because I'm working too much and that I don't have to do that. And yes, I didn't have to do that, but it was my choice that I was okay with making. I then realized that my manager was also in on the call and listening to this partner say all this stuff about me, but he didn't stick up for me. And knowing damn well how much he put on my plate, seemed to have agreed with this guy who has no idea what's going on. I felt extremely backstabbed by this, but I decided, okay, fine. I won't work too much. So I went back down to 50 hours again. I'll take the extra time. As a result, he got antsy about some of the projects because they weren't getting done yet. I couldn't have gotten to them within the 50 hours I had each week, so they kept needing to get pushed out. This led to some of the projects not getting done by the tax deadline, so we had to extend, and he wasn't happy about it. He believes that they could have gotten done, and yeah, they could have. That extra 5 to 10 hours a week I was originally putting in would have allowed me to get them done. All my manager had to do was keep his mouth shut or utter a thank you. I left that company at the end of July and left him with the rest of his projects that he dumped on me through that month. I wished him well, but I hope to never work under him again. It seems like companies are all about work-life balance, but when the rubber meets the road, it's just a bunch of lip service. And our second story. Well, that's just peachy. Now, this took place a fair bit ago. Okay, 1980. Okay, I'm old. Shut up. I was an 11-year-old pipsqueak from a tiny town just south of nowhere on the east coast of Canada. Pigtails, ribbons, snub nose, and knees covered in scabs, probably wearing a Care Bears t-shirt and standing about 4 foot 6 inches short. That was me. We'd gone to Toronto that summer to visit my nan, the big city. the Jane Finch corridor to be precise. Those of you familiar with Toronto can cringe and say, "Heesh," now. LOL. To those unfamiliar, Jane and Finch is quite possibly the most dangerous area of the city and has been since the early 70s. And my family landed into this garbage-lined slice of hell one bright July morning. Seriously, the stench of garbage baking in the 40-degree-Celsius sun was overwhelming. About a week after our arrival, a terrifying encounter with one of the locals left me fearful, and I stuck to my parents like glue. Until the day we went food shopping, the IGA, they still exist, was across the street from my nan, so Mom and I walked over. I was immediately excited at all the wonderful different races and languages being spoken all around me. I confess, small-town me probably stared without any shame, LOL. I held tight to the cart and started enjoying myself. My moment of bravery came at the checkout. Just ahead of us in line was a tiny, elderly Asian couple buying several baskets of delicious-looking peaches. I remember being fascinated by the language they spoke and wondering why they wanted so many peaches. I watched as they paid, then, still chattering away to each other, walked away into the mall, leaving all their peaches behind. The clerk called out, but they must not have heard her as they kept walking. I looked at the peaches, then at the couple as they slowly shuffled away. I knew I could catch them if I hurried. The memory of the incident a few days earlier was still fresh, but they needed their peaches. I bit my lip, looked up at my mom. "I can be fast, Mummy." Mom hesitated, sighed, fast, no stopping, and right back to me. "I'll be behind you." I grabbed up those bags of peaches and was off like a shot. I still remember how scared and determined I was. Dang it, they needed their peaches. I caught up to the couple a minute or so later, standing by a bench, clearly upset. I shyly tapped the man on the arm and held out the bags and smiled. Peaches. Didn't know a word of their language. Insert much excitement from them. Much happy chattering coupled with many bows and strokes on my cheek. I have no idea to this day what they said, but their relief and joy was plain. By then, my mom had caught up to me and their chattering began again. I remember my delight at being helpful, being brave. As we left, they stopped me once more and presented me with my reward. A peach. No peach has ever tasted as sweet. And our last story. Crazy HOA member tried to evict us from our home. We live in your typical suburban residential neighborhood of single-family homes. Our neighbor is a quack who believes that Wi-Fi and EMF makes her and her children sick. She's also an HOA board member. She's part of an advocacy group for this issue and causes a stink everywhere from the local schools to the state level. She homeschools her children because the Wi-Fi allegedly makes them sick too. When she first moved in, she informed us of her illness and asked if we would consider swapping out the mechanism on our water meter that allows the water company to read it from the street. Being neighborly, we agreed to, but when the water company showed up to install the analog device and informed us it would cost $95, the neighbor refused to pay, so we called it off. The water meter also happens to be on the opposite side of the house, not her side. Last night, an officer came by around 8 p.m. looking for my husband and wouldn't tell me what it was about. Worried sick, he rushed home and called the dispatch, who didn't know anything but sent an officer over. Around 9 p.m., the officer came in to discuss a potential Americans with Disabilities Act violation regarding our water meter and Wi-Fi. The officer was accusatory and made it seem like we were doing something wrong and kept mentioning that this issue would be sent up the chain and is going to the governor's office. She's so vocal, I don't doubt she's taking up her issue with the governor. Keep in mind, our Wi-Fi barely holds a signal from one side of the house to the other. It's a crappy router provided by our ISP. We're not talking military grade here. At this point, we are not willing to make any concessions for her, as this is total quackery. Every reputable article I read says that Wi-Fi sickness is not a real condition. The symptoms can be real, mostly due to the power of suggestion. Update. A few things happened. We switched ISPs to a company that allegedly makes her sicker than our old one did. No idea of the logic behind this, because like all of her claims, there's nothing backing it up. We also installed solar panels that require an additional meter on the house. Before the new meter was installed, we called to check the delivery date and were informed that they had a work order to install an analog meter instead of the usual digital type that's readable from the street. We can't prove it, but we suspect she called on our behalf and tried to request the change. She harassed the installers, the building inspector, national grid workers, and anyone she could complain to, and generally made the installation process even more painful for everyone involved. Even before the meter was turned on and the panels were generating energy, she went berserk and claimed her symptoms were worsening. She cited a bylaw in our HOA that essentially states that residents cannot engage in activities that adversely affect the health of others. She used this to try to petition the board to evict us from our home, which we own. When that got her nowhere, she tried to petition them to build a 30-foot concrete wall between our property and hers at the expense of the HOA. Yeah, she read that right. She wanted to build a wall and make the HOA pay for it. After that, she tried to get the board to tell us that we needed to wrap our water and electric meters with multiple layers of tinfoil. No word on whether the gas meter makes her sick also. Thankfully, other board members are sane people, and after consulting an attorney who specializes in disabilities and ADA claims, they told her that the HOA has no jurisdiction in this matter. The board members reiterated that if her health problems are really that bad, she should move. She was also kicked off the HOA board. After exhausting all the utilities, Public Utility Commission, contractors, the building inspector, and our HOA, this seems to be the end of the line for her. She noted her intentions to sell her home and her response to the board. Rumor has it that she's also feuding with the neighbors on her other side about the types of dryer sheets they use. In hopes of sealing the deal, we consulted with an attorney who wrote a cease and desist letter that would let her know we're serious about standing our ground. The fact that she tried to petition the board for a 30-foot concrete wall and wanted the HOA to foot the bill is truly something else. It's good to hear that the HOA and other board members are not giving in to her unconventional demands. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.